Now, let's learn our 7.10 subtopic stories with me, Miss Millie. Stories are longer turns that a storyteller produces while the conversation is ongoing. Stories don't stand alone as they happen within an ongoing interactional context. To start a story, the storyteller has to create a space inside the current conversation while the recipient, in other words the listener, needs to show understanding and show that they are following the conversation. There are two roles that was played during a conversation, one of them being the storyteller, in other words, a speaker role. For the speaker role, the speaker first needs to create a space in the ongoing conversation. This means that they signal that something longer is coming. After that, they establish that they are going to take a longer turn so that the listener, the recipients, know that the story is beginning. Once that space is set up, the speaker can then insert the story into the conversation. The recipients, in other words the listeners, play an equally important part. For the recipient, the role is to show understanding and appreciation while the story is being told. They do this by using continuous, which are sort of like short responses that show that they are listening but not trying to take over the turn. And at the end of the story, the recipient also needs to recognize that the story has finished and show that they understand its meaning as well as the potential for further talk. To further enhance our understanding of stories, let's analyze a conversation as an example. Stories typically follows a story preface with a three-part structure. First, the speaker gives a story preface to signal that a story is coming. For example, I'm boiling about something. Next, the recipient requests to hear the story to show that they are interested. For example, what? And finally, the story begins with the story that the storyteller wanted to share. For example, the sale at the vicarage. There are also several other features such as throughout the story, the recipient gives acknowledgement that shows that they are listening and understand about the conversation, sort of like a response. For example, oh, did you? The recipient can also use non-verbal acknowledgement, such as laughter or expressive sound that show engagement and appreciation without interrupting. For example, like soft laughter. Lastly, the recipient show that they recognize the story has come to an end after you hear the ending indications such as, oh, honestly, I cannot stand the man. This indicates that they understand that the story is completed and possibility for further talk.
Hello, I'm Miss Holly, and I'm going to explain about repair. Repair refers to the suspension of ongoing conversation in order to deal with some sort of trouble, such as hearing, production, or understanding. Repair is a normal phenomenon, and it naturally occurs in our communication. It does not indicate deficiency in communication. Rather, it is a natural self-regulating process in which people correct themselves without being told, asking for clarification when misunderstood, and repeat or rephrase when needed. All communication naturally includes corrections, clarifications, and restatement. Repair helps in maintaining overall coherence of the talk and allow the conversation to stay smooth and clear to prevent communication failure. Now, let's dissect 4 main types of repair.
Alright everyone, hi, I'm Miss Elaine. So today, let's explore something fascinating about how we talk every day. Something you probably do without even noticing. It's called self-initiated, self-completed repair. This happens when you, the speaker, notice a tiny problem in your own speech. Maybe a word doesn't come up right, or something sounds off, and you fix it yourself right away. No one else interrupts, no one corrects you. You catch the slip and you clean it up smoothly all on your own. And the fun part, we actually prefer this kind of repair. It keeps our conversations flowing nicely and shows confidence in our own speaking. In just a moment, I'll show you exactly what this looks like with some simple examples. Let's dive into them.
So Loris, tell me more about your family.
Sure. So my brother is 22 years old.
The speaker corrects their own mistake without waiting for the listener. I'm so done with all this. Let's grab some lunch. No, can do. I need to submit the assignment by 12 p.m. today. Yeah. So here, the speaker clarifies something unclear before the listener asks.
Let's move on to the next repairs, which is self-initiated, other completed. Self-initiated, other completed happens when the speaker himself or herself identifies the cause of the trouble. Maybe they forgot a name, mispronounced something, or cannot find the right word. The recipient or listener resolves it, or in other terms, fix the problem or provide the correct pronunciation. Let's look at one example from the textbook to see how this works. He had this Mr. whatever K, I can't think of his first name. What's the one that wrote I or that piece?
Dan Watts.
So, as you can see from the previous example, speaker A struggles to remember the person's name. You can hear the hesitations like and then the incomplete words like Mr. whatever K. That is what we call as self-initiated. Then, speaker B noticed the problem and corrects her by saying the right name. Then what? That is other completed. Let's look at another example, shall we?
Is the pasta to your liking?
Yes, the shrimp tastes very fresh too. What was it again? Ugly?
It's aglio olio, darling.
Ah yes, aglio olio. It's my new favorite pasta now. Wow, what a fun date. But did you notice the repairs? The lady, which is the speaker, had trouble remembering the name of the pasta. Ogli. The guy then noticed it and corrects her. Aglio olio. So the guy completes the repair.
Now, let's look at another type of repair called other initiated self-completed repair. Don't worry, it sounds complicated, but it's actually very simple. This type of repair happens when the listener notices that something the speaker said doesn't sound quite right. Maybe the information seems wrong or the wording feels unusual. So the listener signals the problem, usually by questioning or repeating the trouble spot. But here's the important part. Even though the listener spots the issue, the speaker is the one who actually fixes it. So the other person initiates the repair and the original speaker completes.
The first time they stopped me from selling cigarettes was this morning. From selling cigarettes? From buying cigarettes.
In this repair, the listener hears something that sounds wrong and questions it. That's the listener initiating the repair. They point out the trouble so the speaker can fix it. Now that's the other initiated part. But when the speaker hears the correction, realizes the mistake, and fixes it themselves, that's the self-completed part.
I met Jennifer yesterday at UITM.
Jennifer? Who's Jennifer?
Oh, sorry. I mean Joanna.
The same goes with the second example. The listener notices something wrong and questions it, and the speaker immediately corrects themselves. The listener initiates, but the speaker completes.
Let's learn other initiated, other completed by Miss Holly. The final type of repair is other initiated, other completed. This type of repair happens when the recipient of the trouble identifies it and resolves it. Let's take a look at an example. Carrie's no good. She's having a fight with Sally.
You mean Sarah, don't you? Those two are always fighting.
From the conversation between Joy and Harry, we can see that Harry, as the recipient of the trouble, identifies it and he also fixes the trouble for Joy. I already have coffee this morning. No need to buy me one.
You mean you already had coffee this morning?
Ah, yes. From this conversation, Tom, as the recipient of the trouble, identifies the mistake and helps Summer as the speaker corrects the mistake. Now that we've gone through all types of repair, so why does repair matter in language learning? We have to understand that repair is normal and it does not indicate some deficiency in communication. Repair is a natural part of linguistic interaction that includes self-correction and other correction, which is important in building the meaning of the conversation.
Stories are co-constructed. The speaker leads the story while the listener shows engagement. Both use things like pauses, laughter, and continuous to keep the story flowing. Meanwhile, repairs fix problems in speaking, hearing, or understanding. They keep conversations clear and prevent breakdown.